Welcome, wrestling fans. Welcome to Curtain Jerkin. As always, I am your host, Jacob Grondy, reporting for the Main Event Marks YouTube channel. You can also check me out on Spotify. This is part 2 of this episode. I'm breaking it up into parts, making it easily digestible for you guys as I stutter over my words, and hopefully better for my algorithm. Check out part 1 of this episode where we talked about Raw, SmackDown, NXT, AEW Rampage and Collision. We're going to be talking about AEW Dynamite. So before we go into ranking every single match from Dynamite from worst to first, I'm going to go over my overall thoughts. Takeshita versus Ospreay at Revolution. Hell yes, sign me up. I will be in attendance. I'm pretty fucking excited about that. Bucks get out of their private jet to reveal their ridiculously new facial hair, which is hilarious. Last week, we had a triple threat announcement. This week, we had Joe come out. Champ is always a good promo. Swerve comes out, Nana dancing. He wants to prove that he is the best. Hangman comes out and says the stipulation was that Swerve had to beat him, and he didn't beat him, but he doesn't book the matches. It should not be it should not be a triple threat. It should be a one-on-one. But the crowd boos. They don't give a fuck. They think Swerve is cool. They think he deserved 5 more minutes. But it's just interesting to see how Swerve is so cool that people can overlook multiple home invasions. He invaded the house of Nick Wayne and Hangman Page last year. No one cares because they like to do the cool dance and they think it's cool when he comes out, which I don't blame him. I think that's cool as well. Joe says fuck both of y'all. He doesn't care about this beef and he's going to win at Revolution no matter what. Tony Storm, that movie was great, but Deonna Purrazzo, the newcomer in this feud, is definitely being outshadowed by the champion here. The Bang Bang Scissor Gang, they're having fun. And they're going to be a 12-man tag on Rampage. I said it on the last part. This is ridiculous that they are completely ignoring the reason that they got together in the first place. They need to go after the Undisputed Kingdom. I don't know what it just is. It's crazy to even think about. It's crazy to even think about this convoluted storyline that led to nothing. But let's rank all 6 matches from worst to first as I properly put the main event in its appropriate space in this ranking system in real time. Let's see here. Where should I put it? I'm going to put it somewhere and then I'm going to reveal where it should go in a moment here. But yeah, 6 big matches on this Dynamite. And the worst match was Wardlow versus Barrett Brown. This guy has been on AEW before. I remember this guy just hearing the name. Drops him out the sky onto his knee before picking him up and power bombing him 1, 2, 3. Cole was on commentary, kind of didn't really say anything, and Wardlow gets the victory. Number 5 out of 6, Willow versus Sky Blue. I feel like we are seeing Sky Blue every week, and then we didn't see her at all, and now she's back. Huge spine buster from Willow, 1, 2, no. Sky in control, 1, 2, no. Code Blue, Stokely on the apron, distracts the referee here. This new evil Sky is getting screwed. I don't really know. Did they forget that she was a heel or what's going on? They cut her push off from under her. Huge powerbomb, 1, 2, 3. Willow gets the victory here. So, yeah, I feel like they forgot they were pushing Sky Blue like they were. I think they forgot the angle they were doing, and now she's back, and she's kind of doing the angle, but not doing like the mist, and I don't know what's going on with that. Young Bucks versus Top Flight. Solid match. Young Bucks beat them. Then they grant themselves the number 1 contendership. Love this finally getting heat from what people actually don't like about them as a train comes by in Gibsonville, North Carolina, even pushing Tony Schiavone down. And when they pick him up, the imagery of them having him in the V trigger or the EVP trigger was right there. And then Darby comes out. He's seen enough. He doesn't want to see Tony Schiavone get his head kicked in. And then he chases him in the back, and he cuts a great promo talking about how the original mission statement was that the they wanted to change the world. But then when they re-signed a year ago, they re-signed because the travel was light and all these things like that. No longer talking about changing the world. And then he hints at the only knowledgeable EVP at the beginning was Cody, which gets a Cody chant in AEW, which is interesting because a few years ago when Cody left, 2 years ago, Cody was getting booed. So then he went to WWE, and now he's more popular than The Rock, so much so that he's getting cheered on AEW. So that doesn't look good for AEW if you could leave, go to WWE, and then get more popular in AEW. So, that's something to take in there. But it's official. Sting versus the Bucks. Sting and Darby versus the Bucks. People, including me, were not looking forward to the Bucks and Sting when it was kind of announced. And now they did this hot angle where they're wearing the blazers and the blood and everything. And now I'm hooked. And I hear from other people that they're hooked too. So, I know I just talked that it doesn't look good for AEW with the Cody chance, but this feud is good for AEW, and they did a great job here. Number 3, Adam Copeland versus Daniel Garcia, neck and neck. Daniel dances to pop the crowd. Copeland tries to bring him down. Garcia counters into an STF. Impaler off the top from Edge. Spear gets blocked with a knee. 1-2, no. Edge counters and locks in the crossface right as the match is getting going. Killswitch and Nick Wayne attack both of them. Man, I know I'm not supposed to like it, but I really don't like it. I thought this match was getting good, man. It really was getting good before they attack Edge and Christian comes out with Nick Wayne's mom and everything like that. I guess they're having, probably Daniel Garcia and Edge versus Killswitch and Nick Wayne, and they might just do Adam Copeland and Christian again at Revolution. That's where I see it going. Number 2, out of 6, the main event, Orange Cassidy. So he was main eventing Collision. Now he main events Dynamite versus Matt Taven. Great to see Matt Taven again. Of course, he was a big star in ROH, the old ROH before Tony Khan bought it, and now he's in this faction here. Former Ring of Honor champion, and he was in a tough spot because in 2019, when a mass exodus from left AEW or left ROH to join AEW, he was given the title. And that's rough because they were selling out arenas with Kenny Omega and the Bucks. Kenny Omega, the Bucks, and Cody went over here. And, of course, they didn't have as big of a crowds anymore because there was this new hot thing called AEW. And Ring of Honor was just kind of dwindling away, and he had the title. So, tough spot there. Elbow off the stage, though, through a table by Taven. Suplex through a table. Cassidy bleeding. Taven sets up another table at an angle against the announcer's desk. He dives. Cassidy moves. He flies through the air and then eats shit through the table. That spot was crazy. Cassidy gets what appears to be a box of chocolates, but it's full of tacks. Cassidy takes a bump, but Taven with a frog splash, no one home, onto the tacks. That looked nuts. And then a DDT onto the tacks. Mike Bennett comes out. He's got a big heart-shaped box that he smacks over Cassidy's head. Trent Beretta has a bouquet of flowers. He reveals that there's a pipe. He starts attacking with the pipe. Beach break on the chairs and the tacks. Taven rips the pockets off of Orange Cassidy. And then Orange Cassidy hits an orange punch with the chain. Strongest what is it? I forget what I'm typing in here, but this was a great match here. Taven can't answer the 10 count, so Orange Cassidy does get the victory. But Taven actually cut a great promo as I'm losing my voice here, talking about how good this match was, talking about how that whole match was just to soften up Orange Cassidy for Revolution for Roderick Strong. But this wasn't the best match on Dynamite. The best match, Mox versus Dax. I love how AEW Dynamite starts out with a banger every week. I feel like WWE should do that, like I talked about in part 1. I know it's just as much of a formula as starting out with a promo, but I guess I just like this formula better. They're brawling all around, 2 damn punches at the same time, both men down, superplex from Dax. then he goes to, rake the back of Moxley before reversing the pile driver, hits a pile driver of his own on the after Mox hits a stomp, and then Harwood taps out to the rear naked choke. Mox didn't let go. Cash takes exceptions for that, so he comes out there and fires some shots, not like gunshots. He just fires some punches. You never know with Cash. Claudio comes out with the save, and yeah, FTR versus Blackpool Combat Club. Like I said, sign me the fuck up. But this isn't all that I'm going to talk about in this episode. I also want to talk about New Japan Pro Wrestling. It's been about like a week now since this great show. I would say show of the year. I think I would put it above Wrestle Kingdom. It was so good. I woke up at 4 a.m. to watch Okada versus Tanahashi. And as soon as I, get up, the video package is playing, showing their 12-year history. I knew I made the right decision. The president made his way down, coming out to his classic music. Then Okada, the crowd is chanting his name during the entrance. He's tearing up on his way down. Final time in Osaka, defining, deafening chant before the bell for Okada. Then the rebuttal chant for Tanahashi. First big blow of the match, high five flow from the top to the floor from Tana. Back in the ring, Okada drops an elbow from the top. High five flow from Okada. Gets his knees up, can't connect with the Rainmaker. Eventually does connect. 1, 2, 3. Okada beats Tanahashi. The president is staying, and Okada's leaving. Why did they have Okada beat Tanahashi here? I'm not sure. Questionable call. But I love Okada, so I ain't complaining too much. I know there was an undercard here to this show, but I woke up right in time to see Okada and Tanahashi, so that's where I'm going to start reviewing it. We had this tag match after Okada versus Tanahashi, Hikuleo and LP versus Chase Owens and Kenta. I feel bad for these guys having to follow that match. The guys who left Bullet Club versus Bullet Club. Fast-paced double team from the champs. LP flying off the top rope. Bullet Club begin to control the pace, singling out LP on the outside. Gold Club for Hika gets a hot tag. I don't know what that means. Gold Club. I don't know what the fuck. Kenta couldn't hit the GTS on the big guy, but he can choke slam. But Hikuleo can choke slam Kenta. LP dives over Hikuleo. 1-2. Chase Owens pulls the ref out. Jado and Chase Owens firing off on one another. Ishimori with the IWGP Junior Tag Championship connects. 1, 2, 3. New champ. Damn, Kenta and Chase Owens. I did not see that coming, but they are the New Japan Strong / IWGP Heavyweight Tag Team Champions. And then we're going to go into Match of the Year contender, probably Match of the Year at this point. I cannot believe it overshadowed everything else on this show. Zack Sabre Jr. versus Bryan Danielson. Both men trying to control the pace, jockeying for position. Zack appears to roll his ankle, hurting himself. Announcers bring up a rare mistake from Zack. Danielson then goes for that same ankle, going into the dragon screws and ankle locks, countered by Zack, and then countered by Danielson. Ankle lock battle here. German suplex. Bryan doesn't let go. Romero special. Then into the Dragon Sleeper. Zack connects with a magic screw. Both men down. Then they both have leg locks applied on one another as they start bitch slapping the shit out of each other. At the 20-minute mark, booting each other with their free legs. This was great. Zack spills to the floor. Zack back in the ring, tying up every limb for Danielson. Danielson able to get one arm free to get to the ropes. This is awesome chants in Japan. A non-English speaking crowd does an English speaking chant. Wrestling breaks down language barriers as both men are breaking each other down limb from limb, firing strikes at the 25-minute mark. Cattle mutilation countered into a Zack driver. 1, 2, no. Huge punt by Zach. Danielson unloads with some boots. Danielson trying to apply a hold, but Zach getting to the ropes. The fight forever chant from this Japanese crowd. Possibly AEW influence in Osaka here, who knows? 30-minute mark. Neither man can get the pin despite trying over and over. Both men down. Psycho knee. Zach counters, rolls back for a pin. Danielson able to counter. Zach able to counter the counter. 1, 2, 3. Roll up victory. Zach pins Danielson. So after Zack Sabre Jr. was saying that Danielson had to win with a strike, or that Zach had to win with a strike last time, or whoever won last time had to win with a strike. This time, Zach had to roll him up. So no one knows who the best technician is here because neither man has won with a submission. So rubber match here. I mean, come on. Probably maybe Wembley Stadium. It's going to be a submissions match, I think. That's how I see it. We'll have to see. But this wasn't even the main event here. They had a cage match in New Japan. Not a traditional cage. It was more like if you've ever seen the cage from the Ring of Honor CZW feud where it kind of went around the perimeter. It's not as high. Very interesting style, but it was a War Game style match here. One guy from each team come out one after another. Unprecedented style match, I would say ever with this style cage, but especially in New Japan. Ospreay versus Fit Finlay, the two captains start things off. This is Ospreay's last match in New Japan that we know of. And then, so they start things off, and then Drilla Maloney comes out next. Brings out Newman, this guy Newman. I guess he's a young lion here. I didn't know much about this guy. And he, kind of, I guess they're trying to get psychologically in Ospreay's head. They beat the shit out of Newman and handcuff him to the cage. 2-on-1 here. Hanare comes out after that. And then Clark Connors comes out to crickets. His hand has barbed wire on it. TJP with more barbed wire. And then Alex Coughlin comes out with like 24 chairs on either arm, flexing, carrying more chairs than a guy trying to impress all the girls after cleaning it up during youth group. Ospreay covered in blood. Francesca Akira comes out, dives off the cage, kicks David Finlay in the dick, and then gets a pop of his career. Gabe Kidd brings out a crate of shit like New Jack or something. Jeff Cobb, last guy to enter. And then the craziness really starts. Ospreay comes off the top, 1-2 no. Gabe Kidd puts a ladder on his head and starts spinning around like he's Terry Funk. Ospreay dodges a 2-on-1 attack and sets up the ladder like it was a table between the ring and the cage. Irish Curse, 1-2. Akira breaks it up. 30 minutes have passed at this point. TJP is out there doing his zombie gimmick. I mean, this shit is, ever since they did like Finn Balor and the Demon, they've been trying to recreate that with like Pentagon did Penta, the Dark Penta, and now TJP does it. I mean, I'm not really into like mid-match gimmick changes. I don't really know what was up with that. I mean, Mick Foley in '98 doing Cactus Jack, Dude Love, and Mankind was the peak, and that was the first time we ever seen a gimmick change like that, and that was in 1998. Everyone, down but the referee. Captains teeing off on each other. Connors and Ospreay go through a table. Hanare taped heavily after getting a huge gash in his head. Like, he looks cartoonish having to bandage the top of his head, how much he was bleeding, but he still fights on. And then Hanare punches through a chair, and Gabe Kidd eats a chair, then like hulks up and then collapses. Hanare puts Coughlin through a table at the 40-minute mark. And then it gets kind of crazy here. Tacks come into play, and Connors takes a swig out of a whiskey bottle, and then puts Connors through the tacks and everything. Then like everyone falls down again. Spanish Fly as the two captains back in the ring again. Oscutter countered by a stunner in midair. Hidden Blade 1-2. Finlay kicks out. into oblivion. Not once but twice. 1-2. Ospreay kicks out. 45-minute mark. Gato brings in a table wrapped in barbed wire. Great Khan attacks Gato. These are two men that are affiliated with both factions, but not in this match. Gets the key and finally lets this Newman kid out, who is still locked on the cage from the very beginning. Newman takes out Gato. Oscutter puts Maloney into the barbed wire table. 1-2, no. Motherfucker's still kicked out. This match starts to lose me here at this point, but then it kind of reels me back in because it's just so ridiculous. Ospreay gets stabbed with a fork. Shitty pile driver through a ladder. Gabe Kidd took all that on his ass when he was the one who applied the pile driver. Francesca stabbed with a fork. Francesca gets the fork and then just goes ham on everybody. Gabe Kidd starts taking apart the ring and exposing the wooden boards, but typically the wooden boards stay sturdy when I've seen this done in America, but here in New Japan they were slipping and sliding, they were falling all out, so it was really hard for people to walk, but they were still performing wrestling moves as these wooden boards were not only slipping out from under them, but after they stuck out from under, they would go in the air. So this was incredibly dangerous. I legitimately was worried. I was sitting there, I went from intrigued to kind of rolling my eyes to intrigued again during this body of this crazy ass match. I'm getting choked up here. Connors handcuffs Hanare. Cobb gets cuffed. This is wild. And then the boards start falling apart. Never seen this in the ring. I can only it looked like I was watching Inception or something here, like Doctor Strange. My world of wrestling was being morphed in front of me as much damage was done in the ring and to the ring itself. Pile driver 1-2. Ospreay breaks it up. Ospreay holding seemingly dead Akira, and then that's when they just start kind of piling on him. And then they pin Will Ospreay. So the War Dogs pin Will Ospreay in his last match in New Japan in the craziest match of 2024. The best match? No. The craziest match? You got to give it to him here. This was fucking insane. Go out of your way. This was the show of the year. You had Okada's last match in Osaka, Will Ospreay's last match in New Japan, match of the year candidate in Zack Sabre Jr. versus Danielson, and the crazy clusterfuck of a match in this elimination tag cage match, the craziest thing I've ever seen as far as this style of match in New Japan, all on one show. I had to talk about it. As always, fly high. I'm out.